I've been running for exactly 1 year, and here are my thoughts. Now, before I get into those thoughts, if you're new here, let me take you back and tell you a little bit about my running journey. To be honest, I've probably been running for actually around 1.5 years now, but those first few months of running, I was doing it completely wrong. I was doing that beginner runner thing of going out and running as fast and as far as I could every single run, trying to be faster and going longer every single day, which you shouldn't do. And I should probably mention here that I happen to be in a relationship with a professional marathon runner. So as you can imagine, running is already pretty popular in the household. So I got to this point in around October last year where I got a niggle from just running in this really stupid way. And helpfully, Philly, my partner, happens to be a coach. And when I decided I was fit enough to come back to running, she was like, "Why don't I just coach you?" And I was like, absolutely, that'd be amazing. And that's why I think that in November of 2022 was when I really started taking running seriously. And I really started at the beginning. I was doing 1 minute on, 1 minute off for probably the first couple of weeks, building that up to a point where about a month in, I was able, or I felt fit enough to go out for a 15 or 20 minute run all the way through without stopping or taking a walk in between reps. And so I just built on my fitness. I built and I built and I built. And what have I managed to do with that fitness over this last year? Well, I started with a parkrun PB of about 30 minutes, just shy of 30 minutes, 29:53 I think it was my first parkrun. And I managed to get that 5K time all the way down to 23:15. I also have a 10K PB from years ago that I'm hoping to break sometime early next year. And in March of next year, I am doing my first half marathon. So now you're all caught up with my running journeys, let's get into these thoughts. Thought number 1, I think I like running a little bit more than I thought I would. Let me explain. I've talked about my kind of rocky history with exercise on this channel before, and if you haven't checked out that video, I'll link it here. But out of all sports, out of all forms of exercise, I thought I was not going to enjoy running at all. I have to go out in all weathers, rain, heat, whatever. It's an endurance sport. You have to be going for a long time, and by the time you're training for something like a marathon or half marathon, you're going out for runs that are far exceeding an hour, which to me just sounded like hell. Things like swimming and going to the gym were a lot more appealing to me. But after I got over that initial beginner frustration of not really being able to run more than 10 to 15 minutes without feeling like my lungs were gonna collapse, something called the runner's high is real. You hit a barrier after maybe 10 to 15 minutes, and sometimes it literally feels like you're flying. That's not to say it's easy, and I'll get into that later in the video, but the fact that I hated running, even when I did sports as a kid, you know, having to run around a rugby pitch was just, it was a lot. So being able to now go and run for 60, 70 minutes without even stopping, I just really like it. Anyway, I've got to get on with some work this morning, but we'll get back to thought number 2 in a second. All right, while I'm getting ready for my run, I'm gonna take you through my thought number 2. And thought number 2 is, I have to be consistent. And I know that might sound very obvious, but I feel like I was in that camp of you did something for maybe a couple of weeks and you get used to it, and you'd be absolutely fine and you could absolutely nail it. And I think I have a little bit of a fear of failure, just not being good at something straight off the bat. And just sticking with something has been so powerful. And this is something else that I've really learned in my day-to-day life, not just my running life, with my editing business, is that if you're just consistent with something and do something over and over and over again, week after week, month after month, and then eventually year after year, you just get better at it. And that's how I taught myself to edit videos. So I edit Philly's channel, I now have my own clients I edit YouTube videos for. And just applying that to my running, I realized, oh, I can get better at this. I can feel more confident as a runner by just being consistent, doing it week in, week out, no matter what the weather is. Definitely just sticking at it, even through those hard times. Probably one of my biggest learnings, and something that I need to remember to apply to other things in my life when I'm picking up new skills that I'm not good at to start with. If I'm just consistent and keep learning and learning and learning, I will get better at it. Let's go for the run. My third thought of this year-long journey with running is that it never really gets easier. And I feel like this is a common trope in lots of different sports, especially that are endurance or weight-based, like lifting at the gym, is that things don't get easier. You can just do more, whether it's running faster, lifting heavier weights. You're never really going to get to a point where one day you're like, oh, this is now really easy. And it's something in the human psyche that most of us just want to get better and better at something. I know I struggle to kind of sit still and not do that, and always want to strive to be better, and how can I run faster? So there's not one day that I've woken up and gone, oh, that run was easy. It always starts off tough. And yes, some are easier than others depending on what kind of day it is, how I'm feeling. But when I look at someone like Philly and she's being effortlessly fast, doesn't mean she finds it easy. It's super tough for her as well. The times that I can look back at things and go, wow, this is easier than it was, is when you're looking at historical data. And that's really cool for me, to be able to go back and not only just look at my Strava data, but remember what it felt like to run 15 minutes the day I was allowed to run 15 minutes continuously, compared to when I go out and run a 20-minute run like I did yesterday because I'm coming back from an illness, and how easy that seems. But running, especially for the first 10 to 15 minutes, is always so humbling. And then just sometimes on those days that it just doesn't come together, running humbles you in so many different ways. Let's get back to this run. Speaking of running kicking your ass, this run is kicking my ass. I ran on Monday for 20 minutes, first run coming back from illness, a little cold, took a week off, and I was like, oh, this feels all right. This feels like oh dear, that one really hurt. It's just perfect. I was talking about how running never really gets easier, you just get faster. And I just got kicked in the arse by that run. While I did my S&C, I might as well talk you through thought number 4. And Phil, you know what, this wasn't gonna be in the video, but Philly just reminded me of this in the kitchen just now, as we were talking through the thoughts I've already spoken about. And I have to agree with her. The mental health benefits that I've gained from running completely outweigh the physical benefits. Now, don't get me wrong, I love being able to run for the train and not being out of breath, but the mental health benefits that I've gained from running outweigh all of that. I feel so much better on a day that I've run. If I don't run until the afternoon, a bit like today, my mornings are a bit foul, I'm a bit moody, I feel less productive, but the days that I do run in the morning, the whole day just looks better. I'm more productive, I'm happier, I'm a nicer person to be around. And that for me completely outweighs any of the physical benefits running gives me, although those are nice too. And I need to get back.
You're very doing your strength stuff. I see you vlogging instead of doing your S&C. Get back to it, come on. I'm not only your girlfriend, but I'm also your coach.
All right, well, the coach has spoken. I need to get back into my S&C. I'll come back for my 5th and final thought about running. Oh no. Delilah, do you like running?
She likes running away from me.
Yeah, it's a few days later. Do you ever get it in life when you do too much and suddenly it's a little bit overwhelming? I think that's what happened to us this last week. I think we decided to do a little bit too much. We had quite a lot of sponsor obligations to get done, so videos had to come out. Lots of things were just happening, and we both decided to get ill as well. So I need to get to the final point of this video. The final thought, and I know what the thought is, just had no time to film it. Currently sitting here at Philly's dad's house. She's come down because she's got a friend's baby shower, and It's always a good excuse to come see family because we're going away for Christmas. We won't see them until January. So yeah, it's been a lot. But before I get to my final thought, there's lots of thoughts I had about running, but I guess these are the ones that just kind of came to mind straight away. As I've mentioned before, I've done other sports in the past. Football, rugby, competitively, probably football and rugby only. I didn't really do swimming competitively, to be fair, but I was pretty good at swimming. But when it came to football and rugby, whenever it was match day and you had to perform, I'd get so nervous that I just wouldn't be able to perform properly. Like my energy would be so low that like I'd be so nervous that I just couldn't muster the strength. However, running on the other hand, on the match day, the park run or the 10K that I do, there's something about it on a race day or a time trial, or whether there's just some pressure, it just unlocks a new kind of level of energy and strength that you just didn't know that you had inside you. And that just kind of opened my eyes to kind of understand why potentially some of the pros will never run like full distance marathons in training, or never try to emulate a race within the training, because there's no point, because on race day you get that extra level of fitness, that kind of adrenaline that's going to push you further. And that was just really interesting. I just didn't realize that that was a thing, because all my experiences with sport have been the opposite. I couldn't perform on the day because I was so nervous. But when I've been doing my park runs, having Philly pace me on the park run, or even that 10K I did years ago, I just did it, and better than I thought I could. Maybe that says something about my own confidence. But anyway, that was my final thought. And that brings me to the end of the video. It's been crazy that I've been running for, well, seriously running for over a year now. I still feel like a beginner. I had a comment, someone saying on one of my videos that I'm doing myself disjustice for still calling myself a beginner. But I feel like a beginner. I feel like I haven't touched the surface of firstly what I'm capable of doing, but also I still don't do enough S&C. I've still only done 3 park runs. I've done 1 10K in my whole life that was like a race, you know, other than a park run. So I still feel like an absolute beginner, but it's cool. I can't wait for another year. I can't believe I'm saying that. That is bizarre. I can't wait to do another year running. Who am I? What have I become? But anyway, if you guys have any more thoughts that you felt within the first couple of years of running, or still do, things that just come up and you're like, wow, that blows my mind, put them in the comments below. As always, smash the like button, subscribe for more content, and I will see you next time.